Hello everyone and welcome to this game of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. So I just got done watching GSL versus the World, and I thought we're so fortunate as the StarCraft scene to have so many world-class casters. We've got the best in the business. But then I read a thread on Team Liquid and it turned out I was mistaken and that our casters are kind of terrible. And they have a lot of bad habits, and luckily this Team Liquid post just laid them all out there for everybody to study. So I decided I'm going to step forward and be the caster that everybody deserves, that we need to grow this scene right now. So this is going to be my first attempt at that. So spawning up here in the top left-hand side of Dreamcatcher, we do have the red Protoss player, Lucario. Now this guy is a macro monster. This guy studies, throws up, he's got his build orders planned out to a T. He knows exactly what he's going up against his opponents. He studies them immensely. So we're going to see some crazy build orders coming out of this guy. If we let him get into the late game, he's just going to be churning out units constantly. It's something to watch. It's something to behold. Now, don't get me wrong. He does micro. Every once in a while, he'll send out a unit, and he'll control it a little bit. So he is, I'm going to say he's a macro god, but he does micro also. I don't want to give you the false impression that he doesn't know how to micro, because, of course, he does. He's in Platinum League. So you can see here, you can see how his micro is slipping a little bit in favor of his macro. So that brings us down here to our blue Zerg player, MARINEMIKE. This guy, you may remember MARINEMIKE from his days as a Terran player. He was unstoppable. They called him the fearsome Finnish because he's from Finland and he was just fearsome. His marine control was out of this world. Marine King Prime, I believe in an interview, said that his inspiration was MARINEMIKE. MARINEMIKE made a switch over to Zerg after deciding that Terran was a little underpowered. MARINEMIKE, known for his BM, so he's got to win a lot, so he's got to pick overpowered races, and he felt like Zerg was overpowered, so that's what he picked here. And you can see that control that that he had before. He's putting that to that drone there that's chasing this probe. Meanwhile, he's taken the inner gold expansion, which you don't normally see, and that's not really a trademark of MARINEMIKE, so we're not going to talk about that because that's not part of his story. So we got two gateways coming down here from our Protoss player. You know that he scouted that there was no natural, so he's going to be worried about some kind of all-in. And he's probably also expecting Marines because he's, of course, studied MARINEMIKE, and MARINEMIKE loves to put out Marines. That's why I picked his name, I suppose. So you can see Lucario here kind of arranging his build around getting out units to counter Marines. But we can take a look here down at MARINEMIKE, and we see that he's only got a spawning pool, no barracks. So he's not going to be producing any Marines just yet. He's got more drones coming up, not actually any attacking units whatsoever. He's got this gold base about ready to finish here. He's going to take that, but again, that's not really him, so we're not going to talk about that very much. Coming back up here, though, our Protoss player is getting a couple of forces out here. I don't know what he's scouting for proxies. Probably a proxy barracks, because that can get pretty dicey when you're going up against MARINEMIKE. You just got to make sure. That's one of those things you just have to cover against MARINEMIKE here, especially when you're somebody who's just known for your macro so much. He's not going to be able to rely on micro whatsoever in any fights. So just kind of getting into this macro phase, both players respecting each other quite a bit, macroing up. And we'll see here, we still have yet to see any Marines, so this might be completely mind gaming. He's going to put Lucario on the back foot thinking that there might be Marines coming out, when in fact he's actually just going for Zerg units. So we'll see here, Lucario moving his units down here. You see he's got a lot of Stalkers. Stalkers are really nice going up against Marines because you can kind of kite them back. They're not so good against Zerglings, which is the tech that we're seeing out of the fearsome Finnish. So Moonrod here has got a probe with him, so he may be throwing down those proxies. We'll have to see maybe some shield batteries, but those take a long time to get up. So we'll have to see what Lucario's got up his sleeve here. Again, if you like to play Protoss, if you've been losing on the ladder versus Zerg, start taking notes. This is how you do it. This is the guy, he's a trailblazer. Okay, so if you want the hottest, freshest new builds out on the scene right now, this is the guy you gotta watch, for sure. Got a couple more gateways coming up here. So we've got a 4-gate off of 2 bases, so it's not all in, but MARINEMIKE will be feeling the pressure here. We'll see if he's ready for it. We got a spine crawler coming down here at the gold, so he is, if this is discovered, it is his plan to defend this. We got a queen out there now. We can start seeing some injects. The Protoss player, like, really frustratingly close to this base, but because of these line of sight blockers, he's not able to see it yet. we're going to have a gateway coming down here pretty soon, so we can start getting those quick warp-ins. A lot of people these days have been going for those warp prisms to try to get quick warp-ins, but Lucario knows something we don't here, so he's going to step forward with these probes here. Or, no, sorry, not with these probes, with these stalkers. What am I saying? And Zerg player here, oversaturate a little bit in the main. This is so that if any oracles come in, he can afford to lose some because they'll still be fully saturated. So that's a very good thing to do. And here we go, getting into this engagement. Lucario probably not even looking at his units because he is not a micro guy, and that's not what he's known for. Probe pulled back there. Look at this micro. Oh my gosh. If he's able to master the macro and the micro this game, this guy might be somebody to watch for sure. Doing a lot of damage to these drones here. Already taking out quite a few. And some Zerglings spawning down here. They're going to be able to take out this proxy pylon, but they don't know about the kind of proxy pylon back here that has the quicker warp-ins. Oh, but he's actually going to try to warp in at that one. And so these units get taken out before they even warp in. A little bit of a slip up here from Lucario, and he just keeps doing it. He's actually just buying himself some time up here in the natural so the Zerglings wouldn't come kill the Stalkers, and that's totally all right. The Stalkers moving up into the main here. Are we going to see a recall? No, because he doesn't know how to micro, because he's our macro guy. Remember that, guys. If you're watching, he's a micro guy, or he's a macro guy. This is our micro guy right here, Marine Mike. So by this point now, Lucario is scrambling to come up with an answer to Zerglings, because again, he was probably expecting Marine. So we've got a couple of Zealots up here. Those do pretty well against Zerglings. We're going to get an Immortal out here. Also, they do pretty well against everything because they're overpowered. Another Immortal coming out here. This Overlord here just could scout at any moment. He's also in prime position to throw down a Nidus if that's what Marine Mikes choose to do. You can never really count anything out with Marine Mike here. A couple of Zealots up here just to get a couple of extra casualties from these Zerglings, but the insane micro on these Zerglings. This is the craziest match I've ever seen in my entire life. If you know anybody that's ever even heard of StarCraft and they aren't sure if they like this game, you bring them in here right now to watch this, because this is a day that they will remember. I am so glad that I get to be here casting this. More Stalkers being warped in right here. There was even a drone that came out with a little gas in his mouth, and you'd think that would tip Lucario off, but he's probably too busy back home macroing. Absolutely insane. Meanwhile, what is this? We got Mutalisks out. Because of that 3-base economy, he's able to afford these Mutalisks despite the heavy damage that he took early on. But are those Mutalisks going to be enough to either pull back Lucario out of this aggression or be able to fend this off? This is going to be tough here. A lot of Zerglings on the ground, but there's just not enough to get us around here. They're going to go for these Zealots, but it looks like they're getting picked off easily. Some Mutalisks show up to assist. And it just looks like there might be overwhelming numbers. The macro machine, Lucario, might have enough to just end the game here. He's going to take out the natural hatchery. He still doesn't know about the gold base, though. So he's probably feeling like he's in a much better position than he is. He's able to isolate some of these Mutalisks here. Through sheer numbers, an overwhelming number of Stalkers out on the field here, pushing these Mutalisks back. Now, Marine Mike is going to be forced to defend up on the high ground here. We got 24 drones here, so he's extremely saturated. He's going to be mining at optimal efficiency forever at this base until the minerals are all totally gone, and then he's going to have a lot of drones sitting there. And here come the Zerglings in with the Mutalisks. No focus fire coming down from our macro machine Protoss here, but it just doesn't matter. There's too much. An Immortal here for backup to focus down these buildings extra quickly. The Overseer gets taken out. What is Marine Mike going to do? He has the choice. He still has his base, his gold base there, and he can fall back to that and start trying to macro off of it and come up with a surprise strategy. These Mutalisks, though, slowly getting taken out. The Stalkers turn around to focus fire these, and it looks like they are going to take these Mutalisks out. As the Mutalisks get thinned out, less and less effective they become. Like when you have a giant clump of Mutalisks, you might be able to go 1-to-1 against Stalkers. But it looks like, oh, he could have taken it out, but instead he falls back. He doesn't want to finish off that Mutalisk. A little bit of a slip up there for Marine Mike. And a couple of Stalkers show up, just being absolutely overwhelmed here by sheer numbers. This solo Mutalisk going to fly back and try to regroup with a couple of Zerglings. More warp-ins. Look at the Immortal rally here. So even if there's some kind of Roach tech switch here at this point, it's just not going to be enough. He's going to try to see what he can get done here, but again, there's just too much. He's going to go for a run by here. 1 Mutalisk, 2 Zerglings. Again, if anybody can make this work, it is Marine Mike. This is totally even here at this point. Anything could happen. This 1 Mutalisk up in the base here, and he's going to throw out the GG. He taps out, and Lucario takes the win.